You are watching the Christian Authors on Tour CAOT TV show. We are excited. We are in our third episode for the month of August,
Absolutely.
and I have my awesome co-host Leroy McKenzie Jr. Leroy, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And I'm happy because if you've noticed, we haven't had any men
Yes.
on the
Oh, I
show.
forgot to tell you, you're our first male author.
So, so you outnumbered today, Miss Lynn.
Okay. I have to call Mitzi to help me out.
So,
Well, thank you. That's great.
but it is great to, of course, be here again, Lynn. This has been an awesome experience, and every time it just gets better and better and better.
It does. And if you're tuning in for the first time, the Christian Authors on Tour TV show just launched in July, and boy, have we had a
I know.
great journey so far. And we thank you for tuning in. You can watch us live every Friday on the WBGR Gospel Network. We air live from 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 10 a.m. And if you miss us, I know some of you got those 9 to 5s. You can't tune in when you want to live. You can catch reruns on YouTube. You can do a YouTube search and put in CAO TV show, or you can go to the http://caotv.blogspot.com. And if you don't remember all that, just go to www.christianauthorsoontour.com. That's www.christianauthorsoontour.com. But this is another way, another vehicle that we've been blessed to be able to use to help authors showcase their book and
Absolutely.
really talk about the call that God has on their lives in terms of using writing as a tool for Christian ministry.
Absolutely, and I often just think about that and think about here we are in this 21st century and thinking about different ways that authors are able to gain exposure because you think not even 5 years ago, 5 years ago, something like this, you really wouldn't even think about, so or even be able to see. So it's just another great way for authors to be able to spread their message, get their message out there, get the exposure that they wouldn't get. I call it leveling the playing field because you don't have to necessarily have mainstream exposure where if you didn't have a big name, you didn't get the exposure that you needed and everything like that. So I think this is awesome, and kudos to you for not just thinking about the blog talk show that we have, but also expanding the vision of Christian Authors on Tour and saying, wow, this is another vehicle that we can use that is going to allow the authors to be able to gain the exposure and the selflessness that you have with thinking of others and trying to think of visionary ways to be able to gain more exposure for authors.
Thank you for that, but I can't do it without you. I can't do it without Pastor Kevin Wayne Johnson, who is traveling the world.
I know, right? He is on the
I
road.
can't do it without the other authors and members of Christian Authors on Tour, and that's what we're about.
Absolutely.
We're much stronger, together than we are apart.
Absolutely.
So we're really excited. This is one, as you mentioned, one way that we offer promotional and marketing opportunities for Christian authors, but we also have our 2018 photo wall calendar.
Yes, absolutely. And what that is, for those that might not be familiar with it, we have a 2018 calendar, and each month we highlight Christian author, one of the Christian Authors on Tour authors each month. And for this month, our author of the month or spotlighted author is Nakia Jackson. She's a Christian author, motivational speaker. She loves she loves everyday life occurrence. She loves to take everyday life occurrences and show others how finding daily motivation is as simple as changing the way people think, which is great. She has a unique ability to make every obstacle a learning experience while explaining it in the most simple ways, which is really great. She is the author of two books. And her greatest motivation is being the mother of 3 children, and that's Lakai. I hope I'm saying the names right. TJ and Gabriella. So that's our author, the author of the month, highlighted in our calendar. And even though I know we're in the end of August, getting ready to go into September, it's a great calendar to be able to get to know some authors that you might not have heard of before, as well as supporting Christian authors on tour, as well as a keepsake, and being able to have something that that you're able to use, for this year. So I think that's a awesome thing, and of course, it highlights just some authors that are doing some phenomenal things and have some great messages too.
Yes, and so if you're interested in purchasing a 2018 CAOT wall calendar, you can visit us online, www.christianauthorsontour.com. Click on the products and services tab, and you can order your calendar. And we are actually gearing up for the 2019.
I know it, 2019 already, right?
Yeah, so hopefully we will have those ready. I was hoping by October, because you know what's happening in October, right?
I think I know it. I think it's some.
Let me just take a step back. Earlier this year in April, we had this phenomenal event called Introducing the Men of Christian Authors on Tour. And that gentleman sitting at the end of the table down there was one of the featured authors. And boy, was it a great event, right?
Absolutely. The responsibility of leadership. And I can't tell you the panel of men and authors that were there, and the knowledge and the information that they were able to be able to give out just on leadership, talking about leadership and who we are as men, and stepping into the responsibility that we have as leaders, and stepping up and doing those things. It was just phenomenal. But I think we have in October a couple of ladies that might be doing something too. So
the ladies got on my case. I said, well, wait a minute, you got the men meeting in April. What about us? And so I kept telling them, don't worry, later in the year. And so here it is, October the 14th. Mark your calendars. October the 14th is a Sunday, but it's a Sunday evening from 5 until 7 p.m. Introducing the ladies of Christian Authors on Tour. You'll have an opportunity to spend the evening with a group of 9 dynamic women of God. So far, we have France Neptune, who is also a co-host of Edify, my sister here on the WBGR Gospel Network. We have Deborah D. Sally. We have Tracy Lydia Garner. And we have our MC for the event is Andrea. And that was just here. Our scheduled author last
week.
And so
absolutely.
Really excited. We have a few more authors that are participating as well, and we actually have 2 openings for 2 lady Christian authors. And so if you're interested in showcasing your book and you want to join Christian Authors on Tour, this might be the event that you decide to do. It's free admission for those of you who want to attend and support. You can get more information again by visiting us online at www.christianauthorsontour.com, or you can give us a call if internet is not your thing, even though this is an internet TV show. You can give us a call at 800-929-1418. That's 800-929-1418. And the other thing I just want to send a shout out, Mitzi Karaskulo is a longtime Christian Authors on Tour member, and she's one of our co-hosts on the CAOT Blog Talk Radio show. So we're just not on TV, but we are also on Blog Talk Radio, which is a blessing because we've had the Blog Talk Radio show now for almost 10 years.
Absolutely.
And this year, Mitzi took on the role of producer. And this dynamic woman of God is on fire. She has us booked up all the way up probably until the end of November, which is really exciting. But we just wanted to mention that today's show, we normally have the broadcast on the CAOT Blog Talk Radio show on the first Friday, the third Friday, and the fifth Friday of the month. But today's show is canceled, and we're going to reschedule the author that was scheduled to come in today. But, you could tune in to the Blog Talk Radio Show and listen and download the free podcast to get the interviews you missed.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, absolutely. They can check out some of our prior podcasts and had just enjoy that and be able to learn something about some of the authors that we've had on prior to that. So that is awesome.
Yes, and so who do we have here today?
I know, sitting in the hot chair. I don't know if he noticed, but his chair is red and ours is black. So that's the hot seat.
The hot chair today. Okay. Yeah.
But we have here Dr. Duane Mangum is the author of the book entitled Blending to Make It: Ingredients to a Successful Blended Family. He's a graduate of Trinity College of the Bible and Trinity Theological Seminary with a PhD in Christian counseling. He is a presidential member of the American Association of Christian Counseling, a licensed clinical pastoral therapist, say that 3 times, and professional pastoral therapist. He is also a blended family expert, certified saving your marriage before it starts, facilitator, motivational speaker, seminar facilitator, and mentor. Originally from Alexandria, Virginia, Dr. Mangum and his wife, Michelle, reside in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I want to introduce everybody to this phenomenal man right here.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I mean, even though I'm in the red seat, the hot seat, I am so grateful for Lynn and this brother Leroy. Just having this platform to share God's word in my life and how he has directed me to write, to share my story, but also to put things on paper. Because when you put things on paper, I believe people will be touched and they can read or they can listen to it. So I'm grateful today to be on WBGR, Gospel Network.
We're so pleased to have you here. Now, I know I mentioned one of your other books in the intro, but I'm gonna hold this one up here for those. From the Incubator to the Kingdom. This is your talking about From the Incubator to the Kingdom. This is his latest book, and doing my kind of going over for today's show, doing some reading. I'm like, wow, the Incubator to the Kingdom, and I started thinking about what is that. And what does that mean to you? How did you come up with the title for your book, and then what made you want to write this book?
Well, great question, Leroy. Well, I am a twin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My twin brother and I, we were born in the late 50s. I'm giving away my age. I'm okay. We were born at Freeman's Hospital, which was in Washington, D.C. Now it's part of Howard University Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And so we were born prematurely, 7 months. So I was 3 pounds and 3 ounces. And my twin was 3 pounds and 6 ounces.
Wow.
And so during that time, we were kept in an incubator to protect us because we were small and we needed to be nurturing. I, for myself, I stayed in a little longer because I was smaller and I didn't grow as fast. My brother got out and I ended up staying in the hospital probably 30 days more than he did. So as God began to lay things on my heart about my experience, and this book is kind of a shout out to what God did in my life from the incubator, from a physical point.
Absolutely.
But I also, God allowed me to turn into a spiritual perspective. So this book tells about my story of coming into the earth as an incubator, but also as a Christian believer. When you first get saved, when you first get in God, you're in an incubator process, which means that God has to take you through that process so he can build you, so he can develop you, so he can make you strong. So God gave me the spiritual principles to share this in a book about my life. You know, it talks about living in a life in a world where things are not always nice, where things are very traumatic for you. And I honestly, you know, audience and you wonderful people, I grew up in a very traumatic situation. As a young boy, I was 5 years old. Unfortunately, my mom and dad, they got a divorce. And my mom and dad, they had 7 children together, 6 sons, as well as 1 daughter. But they got divorced. So my twin brother and I, we went to go live with my dad. And from 5 years old to 9 was very traumatic for me. I went through some things. We ended up being homeless. I ended up being blood poisoned. I got blood poisoned, you know, kid playing and stuff, didn't realize. But the thing about it is that this book really allowed me to share, not just my story, but to share with people, regardless of how you got here, in the backseat of a car, you know, maybe in a park, you know, maybe your parents were, you know, alcohol abusers or whatever the case may be. Because we don't know how we're going to get here.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't know our parents before we
Right.
get here.
Right.
And so the reality of it, God shared with me, said, I want you to share this with the world to let them know, regardless of where they are in life, that God can change them. They may be in an incubator process spiritually,
Yes.
but God wants to develop them because they're kingdom material.
Yes.
They've been put here to do something phenomenal, something exceptional. But sometimes we got to start at the bottom. We got to start where things are crazy. But if you trust God and you stay focused, so that's what I kind of talk about in this book.
Okay.
Of staying focused and let God lead me through to the kingdom.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. So talk a little bit about your publishing process. What did that look like for you?
It was kind of scary when you
Really?
think about it,
Okay.
because, you know, writing a book, I you know, putting a manuscript together and not really understanding how I want this book to really lay out, you know. And so because I wrote my previous book, I had a little more experience, but this publishing process was a little more challenging because I was putting myself on the forefront. I was laying out some stuff in this book that nobody didn't know. I was being very transparent, and I was like, man, you going out here on a limb, you know, people, you know, they don't see you like that. They see you in a bow tie and a suit sometimes, and that they think you have it all together. I still don't have it all together. I'm still a work in progress.
Yes.
But the thing about this, the writing this book, I began to see God, and I said, God, how do you want me to parlay the chapters? Because I believe in having a guideline. You got to take people from the beginning to the end, and you got to have a middle. And so in the process of writing this, I started writing. My wife is a tremendous editor, so she started editing, you know, one chapter at a time. And I wanted to make this book, honestly, to where the print would be available for people that wear glasses or have trouble seeing could see. Because one thing about when you're writing about yourself or when you're writing a book, I think it's very important that people understand the spirit of the writing. And so the spirit of the writing allowed me to put this together. And I talked to different authors about how to do kind of like a memoir. And I read other books on other great people that did their own memoirs. So that kind of gave me a base scale to kind of travel that road. And so when I began to travel that road, God began to really put things inside of me to write this book. And when I got done with the manuscript, I'm telling you, I was floored. I was really floored because I'm still growing as an author. But when I went through the publishing, and we were praying about who to send, because I want to self-publish, but who to go with. And once you hit who to publish your book on the internet, you get these calls. I mean, every publisher seemed like in the world. I sent them and I sent them an unedited manuscript, and they was like, "Wow, we want to publish this," but I think you have to be very careful because a lot of times people, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, they will try to take advantage of your work.
Absolutely.
And try to misuse or misinterpret. And I went to one particular art publisher, and they wanted to change the manuscript. They wanted, because they was talking about you putting too much stuff out there. But my goal as a servant of God is to be transparent and to be real, so that people can see that all people go through something, but that go through doesn't mean that's the end. It's just the preparation for the kingdom. And so being prepared for the kingdom, people need to understand we're real people. Man, we're real people, Brother Leroy, that we go through things, and you may see us on the television, you may hear us on the radio, you may see us living and going to great exotic vacations, but we're still people. We still deal with the same challenges that people every day. And so this publishing process, it was difficult. But when I finally prayed, and I got to tell you, I fasted for 10 days, I said, God, who to pick? I said, and so I went with Westbound Press. And they did an admirable job, on getting out there. But I really believe this: if you're writing a book, that you need to have some people that have written books. Specifically, if you're a Christian author, you need to have Christian authors so that they can pour into your spirit, because it's just not about the book. It's about what's going to be in the spirit, so it can touch people, not just in their intellect, not just in their rationalization, not just even physically, but in their spirit, if it's a Christian, because you want that inner spirit to be lifted. You want them to be challenged and know that, you know what? you can make it.
Yes.
You can do something phenomenal.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
I have a question for you. And
Sure.
you talked about something that was very key to me because this is something that I talk about often as well. You talked about the aspect of doing having a publisher, and then also I don't call it self-publishing. I call it being an authorpreneur.
Yes.
Because you take on the task of doing all the aspects
Yes.
of writing. For those that may be watching or listening, considering should I go the traditional route, what I call of publishing, versus doing it on my own and publishing. What I know you talked a little bit about what your thought was. What was the determining factor for you in saying, you know what? I'm going to go with this particular publisher.
Yes.
But then also when you talked about the other one that tried to change your message,
Right.
and understanding what the difference is between the two, and somebody taking your vision and making it their vision versus your vision and keeping it your vision.
Well, I think that's very important. I think the first answer to the first question, now that I self-published 2 books, I really would do that for my next book because you have more control. You have more control of your vision. And then God is speaking to you about what to write. He's not speaking to the publisher, the traditional publisher. Honestly, let's be real. They're in to make money. They're in to build their sales. And I think that thing about being a book entrepreneur is a fantastic vernacular because, man, when you take control over what God is giving you, you get a chance to orchestrate it the way God is putting in your spirit as an author to orchestrate it. That is one of the key things. So I think that making sure you have control, making sure you get in sync with somebody that's a Christian preferably. They have written books and self-published books because they have nuances of tremendous experience and gems that can help you rise to the top. And I really believe it can alleviate a lot of the stressors that come with writing. If you have somebody that can guide you and that have your vision in their heart. Again, I recognize that you must maintain control of what God has given you. And I think if you give that control away, after you see their finished traditional project, you're going to spend more money because that's not what you want. So let's not go in debt. Let's not make somebody else's pockets rich. And listen, we understand that they're out there to make money. But I think my biggest thing for me, Brother Leroy, to answer your question, that I get a chance to control the vision that God has placed in me to touch people's lives, to touch their families' lives, to touch their children's life. And I think the reality is, if we don't do that, then we're doing ourselves and them a disservice. And so people, after I wrote this book From the Incubator to the Kingdom, people was like, wow, man, this thing is phenomenal. God really spoke to your spirit about this. Because I kept the Spirit of God into control and doing it God's way, basically.
Absolutely. So if our viewing audience want to invite you out as a guest speaker, if they want to purchase copies of your book, how can they do that?
Well, I have a website.
Okay.
My website address is www.drmangum.com. Dr. DRDUANEMANGUM.com. You can purchase my book on Amazon, Books and Barnes and Noble, any internet Christian authors. I mean, it's on distributors, rather, Christian book distributors. If you want to invite me to speak, you can go to my website. I will come and I will share the love of God with you about my art, my books. Again, my website is www.drmangum.com. Dr. DRDUANEMANGUM.com.
Now, for those that purchase the book, that will purchase the book, and will read it, what's the message that you want them to come away with after they read From the Incubator to the Kingdom? What's the message that you want them to come away with? The message
I want them to come away with, I said it earlier, but let me emphasize this, is that regardless of where you are in life, regardless of your mistakes, regardless of what has happened to you, basically pivot from blaming what has happened to you. And thank God that you're still above ground. And that you can be a valuable impact in the kingdom. Because we all have our incubator experiences. Whether you were a twin born in a natural incubator, we all have the experience. So I'm looking for people to understand how valuable they are and how precious they are. And that regardless of the flaws and the mistakes and the errors, you still were born to be a kingdom changer with a capital K in God. And so that's what I want people to take from when they buy this book. And if you do buy this book, I always tell my readers to please go on Amazon and rate the book. Rate it good, rate it lovely, rate it awesome, rate it God sent. I don't talk about the other stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to be on the broadcast with us today.
Yes.
And, you know, your message is one that's not only powerful, but it's timely as well. And, you know, one of the things I was sharing with you when I came in, I said, you know, it wasn't a bad day. It just was a tough day. You know, I had to really press, you know, and it sounds like that's one of the messages in your book. You know, you're saying to press no matter what.
No, you're right, Lynn. I think the things that I've been through, and I don't look back what I've been through with a negative. I look at that God was shaping me and molding me. And he's not finished with me yet. He's not finished with you. And so you got to understand that you were put on this earth to change, to be a change agent, to touch people's lives through your writing. You know, whatever you write, let God inspire you, because guess what? Look how special you are. Regardless of what people say. Make the devil a liar, because you're a kingdom child, and that you should soar. And so I'm with you, Brother Leroy and Sister Lynn. I am so grateful today as our time move on. But I love this book because this book epitomizes the ability to keep getting up. You got to be like a boxer. One of the greatest boxers of all time is the late Muhammad Ali. I mean, he got knocked down, but he got up. He got up and won the title again. And so, regardless of where you are in life, regardless on your job, even in the church, regardless if you in a relationship, if it doesn't work, get up, because you're coming from your incubator and you're going to your kingdom, because your kingdom stuff.
I know that's right.
Y'all just are not understanding the power and the energy that is in this room today. I can't tell you, one of the things that is so just awesome to me is when you can feel the passion for what people have to, the message that they have to say, the message that they have to convey, and I can feel the passion. I haven't read the book, but this is one of the books that will be on my list for this year. And when authors come with that passion, when they come with the where you can feel how passionate they are about their message, that comes across and that comes away. I hope you all understand that when you talk about, not just you, when you talk about your projects, if you don't come with the passion about what it is that you've written, how can you expect anybody else to come with that passion about it? So you have to love what it is that you've written and have the expectation of what it is that it will do for people. And it's an honor and a pleasure to have you. We want to thank you for coming and blessing not only us, but those that are watching right now, that will watch this and go out and purchase this book to be able to be better. One of my missions for this year, my mission for this year, and I say this all the time, is to make people better by the end of 2018 than they were at the beginning of 2018. And you do that by adding to yourself those things in your life that make you better, that make you think differently and have a different mindset, or that mindset shift in what you want to do in your life. So it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here today.
I'm grateful. I want to mention my first book was Blending to Make It: Ingredients for a Successful Blended Family. Real quick. This book epitomizes me being a fourth generation blended family and understanding the struggles, but also understanding that you can be successful. And I recognize that whatever you're in God, you can be successful. God controls your destiny. And if you're in a blended family, get this book, Blending to Make It: Ingredients for a Successful Blended Family. Again, you can go on Barnes & Nobles, Amazon. I guarantee you, I deal with 3 principles real quick. Spiritual, practical, and therapeutic principle will raise you up. In Jesus' name. We love you. We appreciate you. This is an awesome group right here. I'm hanging out with some major folks in God. Thank you again for having me.
Contact information.
My contact information again is www.drmangum.com. DRDUANEMANGUM.com. You can reach me for any speaking engagement. I will come wherever it is. God bless you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
And Leroy, it's always a pleasure.
Always, always, like I said, getting better and better and better. So,
Yes. And for our viewing audience, thank you for tuning in. We so appreciate your prayers. We appreciate your support. We want you to continue watching every Friday on the WBGR Gospel Network and share and post comments and just enjoy the opportunity to learn about men and women who are using writing as a tool for Christian ministry. And stay tuned for 2019 because our multi-state Christian book tour
it's coming.
on the way.
Awesome.
And one of the reasons why we have this TV show and the Blog Talk Radio show is so that we can spotlight different Christian
Absolutely.
authors so that you know what to expect on this tour. We want you to come out. We want you to support the authors. We definitely want you to buy their books. We want you to pray for them, but we also want you to come and fellowship and be part of that. One of the things we always say is that there's not enough quality and substance.
Absolutely.
So we have to make it.
Yep.
We're making quality and substance. We're making radio shows and TV shows and fellowship experiences so that we could come out and be part of the body. And so we want to see you there. Right?
Absolutely. We want you to be
Awesome.
there. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Yes. www.christianauthorsontour.com. Until next time, goodbye.